So there was a lot of opportunity out there during the pandemic for people who were smart, especially in the nursing field. If you had the band-aid on your arm, it was open season because all over America they were firing nurses. Let me say this, I never once had a band-aid put on my arm, but I had paperwork saying that I had a band-aid put on my arm. So I get this email offer to work out of town in Texas. Understand, I'm based in DC. I'm reading the email and they're offering $1,800 a day to work in these small towns in Texas, paying room, board, and meals. So I talked to some of my girls and I decided I gotta go see if I can make me some of this money. Now fast forward 3 days later, I land in San Antonio, Texas, get a rental car, and now I am driving west. There's one major hospital in this area and it services a bunch of towns. Well, they put me up in a motel. Not a hotel, a motel. A smoky, dusty room, which according to them was the best they had to offer. But I'm not tripping because if it's busy in Texas like it was in DC, I was going to be sleeping in the hospital anyway. Well, it turns out it's not busy at all. Freaking crickets. Quiet. Nothing. No patients. Nothing like in DC. The first day I'm thinking to myself, this is a fluke. Maybe it's just a slow period. But 4 days pass and it's still just as quiet. I turn on the news, and watching the news, you would think that the world was coming to an end in this area. So I chill out, kick back, put up my feet, and start counting the money. Well, the weekend rolls around, and I start to see what's really going on. Because you got these nurses who fly in Thursday night, they work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then they fly back out Monday. They're coming in to get some of the money. But me, I'm single, no kids, nobody that I hold myself accountable to but myself. So I'm sitting there thinking, listen, I'm gonna ride this gravy train until it's over. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I'm in the emergency room working, and we see this truck pull up outside. One of those big Ford F1 whatever 50s, big tires like a monster truck. Everybody hops out, and now they're scrambling, trying to get this guy out of the bed of the truck. Now, as for me, I'm starting to get hyped because this is my first real action since I've been here. So I grab a gurney, headed out the door, and then I realize they're pulling a white Shaquille O'Neal from the bed of this truck. That's how big this man was. But he wasn't basketball player big. He was country muscle, pick up a tractor big. Jeans with blood all over it, wearing a red flannel shirt. His shoulder is wrapped in bed sheets and blood is pouring through those sheets. Again, so you understand, this man is literally bigger than a gurney. But we're able to get him in the door, get him to the back, and they get started on him. But now I'm trying to figure out exactly what was going on so I'll know how to treat some of the injuries. So I asked the people who were with him, what happened? That's when they tell me he was attacked by a wild animal. Now I need you to pause right here for a moment and think so you understand what I'm saying to you. You know how big and tall Shaquille O'Neal is, right? That's how big this guy is, except for he's more muscular. So I'm thinking to myself, now see, this is some bullshit. This is how people die. You're lying. Y'all been out there drinking beer, shooting guns, y'all done fucked around and shot your friend. But nonetheless, I head into the back and see what I can do to assist. Well, when I get in the room, they're cutting off his shirt and cutting through the sheets, and Jesus Christ, clearly something put its mouth over this man's shoulder and bit down into him. He has 2 broken ribs, one that you can see damn near pushing through the skin. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, like, what the hell does that? As the doctor walks into the room and he says, it's a canine bite wound. After that, there's no time to think or contemplate any of it because there's this flutter of activity as we try and get this guy stabilized. And when it's all over, he's on pain meds, laid up in the bed, I got some time to think to myself, and I'm replaying all the things that I've seen in my mind. So I go back out to the waiting room where his friends are who brought him in, just to give him an update. And I start to poke around in their business a bit, just trying to get more information. I tell them, guys, that's a nasty wound. What were you guys doing? Working heavy equipment at night and had an accident? What actually happened? And that's when one of them answers. This young man stands up, blood all over his shirt, and he says, no ma'am, we was out gathering wood on our property for a bonfire, and this giant wolf came down out of the tree and bit him. He pulled his knife, stabbing it in the face a few times, and it let him go. So we brought him here to you guys. Understand, I'm trying to keep him talking, so I said, man, that must have been some big wolf. He says, yes ma'am, sure was. It was 12 feet tall when it ran off. Still had that knife in its face. Have you ever looked into a person's eyes and you can tell they're lying? Well, looking into this young man's eyes, I could tell he probably never told a lie in his life. So I sat there the rest of the night wondering what the hell could do something like that to a man. And that's how I learned about Dogman. After sitting there at the nurse's station reading about what a Dogman was, I pulled up my calculator, did the math, and I had made $18,742. So that night, I made an executive decision. I was getting the hell out of West Texas and getting my ass back to Washington, D.C.